You've got life jackets on your boat right now. I know you do, because you're not an idiot. You bought a 4-pack of Coast Guard approved PFDs when you got the boat, probably grabbed whatever was cheapest at the marine store or off Amazon, and you stuffed them in the compartment under the back seat. They've been sitting there for 2 summers, maybe 3, and every single time you take the family out, you've got this quiet confidence in the back of your head that says, hey, if something goes wrong, we're covered. We've got life jackets. They're Coast Guard approved. What nobody knew, including me, until I started pulling these things apart, is that the foam inside those jackets has been slowly dying in that compartment since the day you put them there. I spent a genuinely stupid amount of time researching this, and what I found made me go pull every PFD off my own boat and test them in my pool that same night. So that's the kind of video this is going to be. We're going to cut 5 life jackets open, look at the foam density, the stitching quality, the buckle hardware, and the fabric condition. And I'm going to show you which ones would actually keep you floating and which ones are basically decorative at this point. So here's what's happening inside your storage compartment right now. That compartment sits in direct sun all day. On a 90-degree afternoon, the air temperature inside a closed fiberglass compartment hits 140, sometimes 160 degrees. The manufacturer safety data sheets for the polyethylene foam used in most budget life jackets list the critical storage threshold at 125 degrees. You're exceeding that every single weekend from May to September. At those temperatures, PE foam physically shrinks. Lab testing shows measurable dimensional loss after just 24 hours at 158 degrees, and it doesn't spring back. That volume is gone forever. Then there's compression. Every time you stack coolers on top of your PFDs, every time your kid sits on them, every time you cram a bag on top of the pile, you're permanently crushing the cell walls in that foam. PE foam loses almost 2% of thickness under moderate compression. EVA foam loses up to 4.5%. And the foam they use in cheap life jackets? I personally think this is the most overlooked detail in boating safety, is the exact same type of foam that has the worst compression recovery. You're literally sitting on your family's safety margin and flattening it season by season. Pay attention to this next detail, because it explains everything about why your PFD can look perfectly fine and still fail. The nylon shell on your life jacket is classified by polymer scientists as very sensitive to UV degradation. UV radiation breaks the molecular chains in nylon through a process called photooxidation, and the nasty part is that it's autocatalytic. Once it starts, it accelerates itself. Researchers measured a 20% breaking strength loss on nylon webbing after just 15 days of accelerated UV exposure. And here's what should scare you. They put that same webbing under a scanning electron microscope and found 0 visible damage at 20% strength loss. The fabric looked brand new. Industry data shows that nylon webbing loses 20 to 30% of its tensile strength after about 6 months of moderate outdoor exposure and 50 to 60% after roughly 3 years. And somehow, it gets worse. The thread holding your PFD together has a smaller cross-section than the fabric panels, which means it degrades even faster. Multiple thread manufacturers flat out say nylon thread should not be used in UV-exposed applications. Mustang Survival themselves warn that UV light can be, and I'm quoting their blog here, disastrous for stitching and seams. So the thing holding the foam inside the shell is failing faster than the shell itself, and you can't see any of it happening. This brings us to the part that I think should make every boater angry, and that's what Coast Guard approved actually means versus what everyone assumes it means. The USCG approval process works like this. A manufacturer sends brand new PFDs to UL Solutions. UL dunks them in fresh water for 24 to 48 hours, measures buoyancy, runs donning tests with 18 or more subjects, checks seam strength, tests hardware for corrosion, and does a short-term temperature stress test of 20 hours at 150 degrees. If the PFD passes, the Coast Guard issues an approval certificate good for 5 years. Those tests are legitimate for a brand new life jacket, and that is exactly where the system falls apart. The federal standard doesn't include a long-term aging test, doesn't require UV resistance testing on the shell fabric, doesn't measure foam degradation after 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, doesn't even test in salt water. Despite that being where most of these jackets will actually be used, and there is 0 mandated expiration date. Your PFD is legally fine forever as long as it looks okay and the approval label is readable. That's the standard. Looks okay. For the thing that's supposed to keep your head above water when you're unconscious. If you're wondering how that's even legal, so is everyone else. Europe's Maritime Safety Federation recommends a 10-year maximum lifespan for foam PFDs with mandatory servicing intervals for inflatables. The US standard? Just eyeball it. And no, I'm not making this up about the consequences. Coast Guard inspectors in Key West found over 60 life jackets on 2 commercial vessels where the foam had, and this is from the official safety alert, degraded significantly over time, broke apart, crumbled, and was reduced to dust. These were Type 1 offshore PFDs. 9 years old. They had been stored properly, kept dry, not in direct sunlight. The storage location was just hot. That's all it took. The manufacturer, the Safeguard Corporation, no longer exists. Everything I just showed you about what's hiding inside your safety gear is the same kind of thing I've been finding inside hulls, outboards, and dealer paperwork. I put all of it into something called the Bilge Files. 6 guides, $19.99. Pre-purchase checklists. Outboard blacklists, hull quality rankings, DIY fixes that save thousands, the whole vault. One bad purchase costs you tens of thousands. Links in the description. Alright, so here's where things get personal because I actually went and bought 5 PFDs across different price points to compare the construction side by side. At the bottom, you've got your Amazon no-names at $8 to $25. Thin nylon shells. I'd estimate 100 to 150 denier at best, with foam of unknown type, generic buckles that feel like they came out of a gumball machine, and barely any stitching reinforcement, and a disturbingly high chance that the USCG approval label is completely fake. A paddling magazine investigation found that only 3 out of the first 10 results for toddler life jacket on Amazon were actually Coast Guard approved. The rest were swim vests explicitly labeled "will not protect against drowning," but marketed with thousands of 5-star reviews and labels designed to look like real approval stickers. One tier up, you've got Stearns and Onyx. The Stearns Classic Series runs $15 to $25 and the Onyx Movement sits around $35 to $55. Both use 200 denier nylon shells and polyethylene foam, which is the cheapest closed cell option available. Basic plastic buckles. 1-inch webbed straps with no published strength testing. Manufactured in China. These are what 90% of recreational boaters have on their boats right now. Then there's Mustang Survival, and the construction gap is not subtle. Their fishing PFDs run $100 to $170 and use 500 denier Cordura nylon, the same abrasion-resistant fabric the military uses. PVC-based AirSoft foam in segmented body-mapped panels. Industrial box stitching at every load point. Bar tack reinforcement at stress points, all strength tested to 100 miles per hour. Stainless steel D-rings instead of plastic. The shell fabric alone is 2.5 times thicker than what Stearns and Onyx use. And then there's Kokatat, which I personally think makes the most interesting PFD on the market. All their models use Gaia foam, a PVC-free organic nitrile compound that's recyclable. 500 denier Cordura shells. And they're manufactured in Arcata, California, one of the last American-made PFD lines. Their Hustler Rescue model runs about $289. Most people never heard about this part, so let me land the plane with the detail that honestly changed how I think about this entire category. The United States Coast Guard, the organization whose approval stamp is on every life jacket sold in America, does not use the same life jackets you buy. They exclusively wear Mustang Survival. Their standard inflatable is the Mustang MD 318, 3HIT. Their boarding teams wear Mustang mesh vests, strength tested to 50 miles per hour. Professional river rescue teams wear PFDs with 22 to 26 pounds of buoyancy, not the 15.5 minimum that's in your Stearns 4-pack. The people whose literal job is pulling drowning people out of the water spend $145 to $350 per person on equipment, with 50% more buoyancy and 250% thicker shells than what you bought for your family. The difference between what a professional trusts their life to and what you stuffed under your backseat works out to about the cost of filling your boat's fuel tank once. So remember, that 4-pack of Coast Guard approved PFDs I mentioned at the beginning? The ones giving you that quiet confidence every time you take the family out. Coast Guard approved. Those words mean the jacket worked on the day it was manufactured, in a freshwater lab at room temperature. Nobody tested what happens after 2 years in your 140-degree storage compartment. Nobody tested whether the stitching survives 3 seasons of UV exposure. Nobody tested whether the foam still floats you after being compressed under your cooler every weekend since you bought the boat. The real question isn't whether your life jackets are Coast Guard approved. It's whether they still work. Go pull them out of that compartment tonight. Wade into chest-deep water and float. If you sink, you just learned something worth a lot more than the price of a new PFD. If you made it to the end, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.